Concord is shutting down after just 2 weeks of being out. Okay, so this is absolutely insane. Concord, the game that was recently released and had a huge budget, and it was, trying to compete with Overwatch and be this really popular hero shooter, Concord ended up straight up just completely dying after simply 2 weeks of being out. Not even like a year or something, man. Like 2 weeks. Like, this is absolutely insane, guys. So the game is shutting down completely, and they're refunding all the players that got it, right? So whether you got it digitally or you got a physical CD, you're gonna get a refund, a full refund. And the thing about this is, people thought what was gonna happen was that Concord was, after all the horrible player numbers they had and stuff like that, they were just gonna go free to play. And the people who had bought it, since they had paid money, they would just get in-game currency equivalent to $40, which is the price of the game, or should I say was the price of the game. The game's dead now. And that did not happen. They just straight up killed the game. And a lot of people are calling this the biggest failure in gaming history. Okay, so the only thing that even comes close, I guess, is E.T. And E.T., people remember it as this huge failure, but it actually sold 1.5 million units. So, sure, it wasn't as much as what had been estimated and what was expected, which was, I guess, 4 million. But, still, 1.5 million is quite a lot. And keep in mind, back then, games didn't cost that much to make, right? Now, Concord, on the other hand, did not even sell anywhere near 1.5 million. You see, Concord, according to this IGN article, sold an estimated 25,000 units. That's it. This massive game that had such a huge budget got just 25,000 sales. All right, that's absolutely insane, dude. That is beyond embarrassing right there. And then let's talk about the amount of people that were actually playing the game. And so this crazy screenshot from Steam was circulating online, and it showed that there were just 697 peak players on Steam on launch day. All right, so when the hype is just the highest, the most amount of people are interested in the game, it just came out, everyone is trying it, there were just 697 peak players. Bro, that's insane, dude. Not even 1,000. That's crazy. Like, in the modern day and age, when video games are more popular than ever, you have so many people all over the world who are enthusiasts of video games. You couldn't even get 1,000 players, dude. That's absolutely insane. I mean, there's games that you haven't even heard of. There's games that are made by indie developers that end up just blowing up and, having hundreds of thousands of players, even more. And then you have this huge, big budget game that had so much support and so much backing and so much funding, and they flop this hard. How do you fumble this bad, dude? Now I want to pause the video and say I'm giving out shoutouts on this channel to people who subscribe, hit the bell, and comment I subscribed. And if you do that, in the next video, I'll give you a shoutout. Anyway, back to the video. Now, I've been mentioning how Concord had this huge budget. And the thing about it is that we don't know the exact amount, but the estimate for this budget is over 200 million US dollars. And another thing is that it only made about $1 million. Okay, now that's absolutely insane, dude. The fact that they sunk in more than 200 million US dollars into this project, thinking like, oh yeah, this thing is gonna blow up, it's gonna be the next Overwatch, we're gonna make so much money from sales and microtransactions and things like that, cosmetics, all that, they were thinking this thing is just gonna become this money printing machine. But instead, what ended up happening was that they ended up just making $1 million. Bro, that's insane, dude. Okay, so if you say that it's like, the budget is, let's say it's 200 million. Now, it says it's more than that, but let's just go with 200 million, right? What happened here was that their return on investment was 0.5% of what they invested. Okay, so we're not talking about a return that's like even close to like breaking even, bro. They lost so much money, it's insane. Like, the amount of people that are gonna lose their jobs over this, man, it's gonna be crazy, dude. We're gonna see like multiple hundreds of people lose their jobs, and it's just gonna be insane. And the crazy thing about this is that the game took so long to develop, because Firewalk Studios reported that it took around 8 years for this game to develop. All right, 8 years. Now that's absolutely insane. Like, if somebody had a baby when this game started developing, that child would now be in 3rd grade in school, dude. That's insane. So yeah, guys, that's basically the story of Concord's failure, this insane, embarrassing, beyond embarrassing failure. Because again, like I mentioned, games that have been made by these small indie developers and stuff like that, and these small teams, they've gotten so many players and so many sales, and they cost barely anything to make compared to this. And then here we have something with this insane budget, and it just completely flopped. It cost so much money. It lost so much money. And I think this is going to start a discussion within the gaming industry that, just because you dump a bunch of money into some, semi-talented game studio, that doesn't automatically mean that what's going to come out is this really successful video game. Like, yeah, sure, you have this big budget, you can have lots and lots of developers, and, you can have motion capture and voice actors and things like that, and writers and people who create the concept art and stuff like that. You can do all of that. But if there just isn't any hype, if there isn't any, interest in the game, it's not gonna sell well. You're gonna lose money no matter what. You gotta make something that people genuinely care about. It doesn't have to be something with amazing graphics. It doesn't have to be something with this huge scope. It could be something with just like a very basic idea, a very basic concept, something that's relatively low effort, but it's fun to play. And when it's fun to play, people are gonna tell their friends, they're gonna buy it. And, if it's a free-to-play game, they're going to start playing it. They're going to start spending money in-game in the store to get cooler-looking skins and stuff like that. And, you're going to be successful. You're going to make money off of that game. But if you have something where, you just have this corporate attitude of like, if we invest this much money, we're going to get that much return because, we've seen Destiny get returns. So, if we make something kind of similar, if we make Destiny plus Overwatch, then yeah, sure, it's just automatically going to blow up. Yeah, that mentality is going to give you these results. You got to figure out a way to make people interested. Or should I say, maybe you should instead focus on something that people actually want. Because I don't think anyone wanted this, right? Like, no one was asking for a game like this in 2024. Maybe people wanted this back when, let's say, I don't know, Overwatch was blowing up, right? Maybe in that era. Remember that, the good old days of YouTube and stuff like that? Man, those were the days, huh? But, nostalgia aside, back then, I think games like these were very popular. But these days, nah, man. It's just not really gonna sell. And another thing is that now a lot of games that are multiplayer only are free to play. So, Apex Legends is free to play. Call of Duty Warzone is free to play. Overwatch 2 is free to play, right? So this huge competitor is free to play, and it's an already established brand. People already like Overwatch. And so, why would they pay $40 to switch over to this? If this game was free to play, man, it would have actually had a shot. So for example, like X Defiant recently released, and it's very clear that it competes with Call of Duty. But the developers, they didn't make the horrible decision that was made here and, made it this paid game, because then it wouldn't have sold that well at all. But here, this game was paid. So why would people who have access to Overwatch 2 for free and Destiny 2 for free switch over to this game that's similar, but in this case you have to pay $40, and it's a brand new IP and people have never heard about it before? And the thing is that in the modern gaming landscape, with the way things are, with how competitive it is, even games that are pretty well made and they are a part of a really big franchise and they're also free to play, like for example Halo Infinite, the multiplayer section of it was free to play. Even games like that don't do that well sometimes, right? Halo Infinite, sure, it did get tons of players, but for a Halo game, given how big Halo used to be, Halo Infinite didn't do nearly as well as it should have, right? But of course it did way better than this. And another thing is also how, they could have perhaps copied the Fortnite model, where you just put the game out for free and then you just keep dumping massive content updates. Now you might think that, hey, I don't like Fortnite or whatever. Fine, whatever. Let's say you don't like the game. It's fine. But you have to recognize the genius of Epic Games with how they handled the game. Initially Fortnite was this paid game and it was failing. The story mode was failing. And so then they were like, okay, what do we do? So let's go with the Battle Royale mode. Let's build that and let's make it free to play. And when they made it free to play, man, it just exploded. And after that, they didn't just, say that, oh, it's successful. Let's enjoy this by simply adding new skins in the item shop and making money that way. And then, eventually people get bored and move on. What they did was they absolutely just went crazy with new content being added to the game. There were so many content updates. So yeah, guys, I think the best decision they could have made with this game was they should have released it as a free-to-play game, and that in of itself would have encouraged a lot of people to try it. But even that wouldn't have been enough. Once you have players initially, you have to start adding in new maps and guns and modes and in this case characters as well. So people would actually want to keep playing the game. And I think this is something that X Defiant failed to do. Maybe I'll make a video on it separately talking about it in depth. But the thing about X Defiant is that initially it had this amazing launch because it was this free to play alternative to Call of Duty. And the multiplayer section of Call of Duty, not Warzone, the multiplayer section is still paid. And so people were getting that experience for free. And so that made the game really successful initially. But what happened was that the new guns and the new maps, there were so few that people just lost interest. And it took such a long time for the developers to bring those new maps and new guns to the game. And so that's something you got to do. In the modern gaming landscape, you just will not survive, you will not thrive if you do something like this. Do not make a paid game that's multiplayer only and you've just dumped in so much money right in the beginning. And the thing is, the game didn't even have that much content, quite frankly. You're telling me there's 200 million plus US dollars that were put into this game, hey man, I don't see it, honestly, I mean, you take a look at Fortnite, take a look at just how much content Fortnite has. I mean, it's crazy, right? Even with the new Call of Duty game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Now, sure, a lot of people may not like it, but if you've been keeping up with the multiplayer aspect of that game, they've been adding in all these new guns and maps and stuff like that. So it keeps the gameplay experience fresh, keeps the game fresh, keeps bringing people back. And man, you gotta do that if you want to succeed in 2024. I think they went into this with the mentality of like, oh yeah, remember like with Overwatch 1, you had to pay money to buy the game, and people still bought it, and it went crazy, it blew up and all that. It's like, yeah, that was back then. You can't pull that off in 2024. The competition is free in many cases, and even when it's not free, the competition is just way better. There's established IPs out there. There's established fan bases out there who are definitely just gonna buy the new entry no matter what. And the content updates are really great too. And the thing about this is, I mean, this game didn't even get to see its first content update. It just died in the beginning. It's just really sad to see it in this situation. Or maybe not, right? I mean, maybe you hated this game. I saw that, quite a lot of people really didn't like this game. In some cases, because of like the political leanings of, the people who were making the game and stuff like that. People thought that, there was this political agenda being pushed by the game and by the developers and the team and all that. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that, but yeah, perhaps that contributed to people not liking the game. But overall, I think it was just that people weren't interested. It didn't seem like anything new. And again, paying $40 for this in 2024 when there's so many great multiplayer only experiences out there that are free to play, yeah, it just made no sense. So yeah, guys, that's all I had to say. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And with all that being said, guys, this is Alexi signing out.